Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. I'm so glad you're back listening to the show. We got a great guest today, Nick DeVito from Cleveland. And the cool thing about Nick is we actually know each other. He's another super duper rock star. And you'll get to hear all about what he's doing, and maybe he'll drop some golden nuggets on you. And we can talk about some really important stuff too, like when it comes to retirement. I want everybody to have real estate, and real estate brokerage. You'll find out a lot of real estate agents, they're not really prepared for retirement, and there's a number of ways they can do that. It's not all about owning real estate; it's the brokerage you're with and what kind of plan they have. What kind of plan do you have? So we'll get into that too. But first off, Nick, I just want to say thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate you doing this,
Oh, absolutely. It's a privilege. And Gary, we've known each other for a couple of years now. I think we met on I think it was a pool in Florida. I think we had lunch together and we only knew each other from Zoom, and then we got to meet each other in person. And it's just, you're a great guy and proud to be on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, you're pretty awesome yourself. And if you wouldn't mind though, it's what's interesting about this business, Nick, is most people I meet did not start off in real estate. They started off doing something else. They were a teacher, an engineer, or a computer programmer, a truck driver, all kinds of stuff, mailman, But tell us, what led you to this? I mean, what were you doing before this?
Sure.
And what was your kind of pivotal moment, if you don't mind sharing that,
100%. Absolutely. So I ran a large REIT, which stands for Real Estate, REIT. And it was wonderful. I enjoyed my job. I traveled a lot. I met a lot of people. It was a huge one in Cleveland, about $2.5 billion REIT. And I was in charge of the construction arm of that. And I loved that. I just did. And again, this is well before COVID. This is 20 plus years ago now. And I really enjoyed traveling and helping people and being construction and building their homes or renovating, whatever it was. And I was divorced with these two little kids. And I met a woman who is now my wife, Cindy. And she gave me a little bit of an ultimatum and said, I really like you. Things are going great. I'd like to get married someday, but you travel and that's going to stop. You need to be home and we want to have more kids and some other things. And again, this is 20 plus years ago now. I was 30, not the 50-year-old you see in front of you. And I thought about that. And I said, well, I like my job. I get paid a lot of money. This traveling, I don't mind it, although I miss my children and of course her. And I said, what do you think I should do? And she said, well, you love people and you love real estate. She said, why not become a realtor? And I really, Gary, had never, in my first 30 years on this planet, had never thought of becoming a realtor in my life. I knew what I was good at, and I was good at helping people, and I was good at construction and good at managing projects. But man, I had never thought of real estate, and I really had no excuses why I should say no to that. And so on a whim, I quit my job, making well over six figures. And I took a leap of faith. And this is back 20 years ago, as you probably remember, we had to sit through classes. We couldn't do it online. And we had to go through all that 3 or 4 or 5 weeks now, I don't remember, of in-person classes before taking 2 tests, a state and a national test, and had to pass them both, 70% or greater. And so I started really in construction. And it was because my girlfriend, now my wife at the time, and mother of one of my 3 children, told me I'd make a great realtor. And she was, as she always is, 100% right and correct. And it was the best financial decision I made for myself and my family.
Awesome. It's funny. Everybody has different stories, but there's always some moment. Like for me, it was all about not wanting to be in the corporate grind anymore. I just was tired of going in an office and sitting in an office, looking outdoors. I wanted to be outdoors. I did not want to be cooped up inside a building with artificial air and it's just no sun. I mean, it just drove me crazy. Finally, I had the guts. I was like, I'm just going to get out of here, man. And I started investing first. Then I got my license out of frustration, really, because a lot of the agents weren't trained to work with me. But that was what we got into it. And I like the freedom. But let's step forward now. So you've been in it now about 20 years. And so for everybody listening, Nick and I are in a group together. It's a mastermind group where there's probably maybe somewhere between a dozen and 2 dozen people that meet every Monday morning. And we share our ideas, we share our successes, we share our plans, we hold each other accountable. and Nick is the forefront. I mean, we're two of the regulars, and I tell you, when you belong to a group like that, it drives you forward. It pulls you forward. Other people's success inspires you. So the little golden nugget there. If you're not part of a group, look for one, join one, or create one. Makes a huge difference. Plus, you meet some pretty awesome people like Nick. Let's get into current day stuff. Nature, you're in Cleveland.
Yep.
Now, were you born and raised in Cleveland, or is that?
I was. I grew up in a city called Shaker Heights, first
Yep.
integrated city in the country. Very, very unique, built by the Van Sweringen brothers. Old history, old money. Used to have Millionaires Row and some other things. Shaker Heights is very, very well known. I grew up there. I lived there for the first. My family had houses there for 50 years, longer than I've even been alive. And then when I went to college, I went to school in Alabama. And then after Alabama, I came home back to Cleveland. And now I live in a suburb called Chagrin Falls. And Chagrin Falls is, if you think of almost like a little house on the prairie. I mean, we have literally falls, which used to be things for the paper mill, because they would take the logs and they would run them down the falls, and then people downstream would pick up the wood and use it as paper, because back then paper used to be a lot. Now we both work for a cloud-based business that doesn't use paper, which is ironic. But that's was hundreds of years ago. And Chagrin Falls is very, very quaint. Everybody knows everyone. It's just a small little community. Again, it's like OP or Mayberry. It's back in the 18. I mean, we have buildings literally since before Civil War, 1840s, 1830s. It's just really, really great. And like I said, everyone knows everyone. Proud to be live in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Very well known.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Shaker Heights too, and I'm sure you're familiar with John Carroll University. But both of my children went to ACU, both graduated. Yeah. So I was there.
Excellent school.
It is. Excellent. Yeah, for about 7 years. They were 3 years apart, so I was going back and forth there, not every weekend, but probably 1 or 2 weekends a month, taking them to dinner, buy them groceries, let them squeeze down for a few more bucks, and then I hit the road. So,
it's funny. It's funny you say that, John. I didn't know that about you. But that's one of the 28 Jesuit colleges in the country, and I went to another one called Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama, and really, as you know, those Jesuits, they're tough on you. There's no sliding by. They are very serious about education, and so I know your kids got a wonderful education at John Carroll, which literally was 2 blocks from the house where my mom lived for the 40 plus years, where our family grew up in Shaker.
Oh yeah, I agree. Great, big plug for old JCU, and it really is an excellent college. You get it. I mean, a lot of the businesses recruit from there because they know the kids that graduate are well prepared. They're workers. My son-in-law, my daughter met her husband there, and he's an accountant and just left Price Waterhouse and started his own practice. He's already got over 700 clients.
Wow!
And they just bought a house, freaking mansion, and they're half my age, so good for them. But hey, so let's talk about that buying house in Cleveland. Here's what I figured out about Cleveland. I was totally pleasantly surprised at how much was there, how much was affordable. And so you can flip houses there, you can buy rentals there. I mean, it's a great market. And you mentioned you used to work in a REIT, real estate investment trust. So based on that knowledge and what you're doing now in real estate brokerage, do you get involved much? And I've got a lot of questions. Like, Nick, I want to get a feel for the type of business you've been doing.
Sure.
But also, I know you're building an organization yourself too. So let's jump on a little bit of that. Let's talk about production. What kind of production you've done, and the numbers, whatever you're allowed to legally share, that is. And then let's talk about the group that your organization you're building.
Sure. Well, I'll go back a little bit. So a little bit of background. So I spent the first 10 years of my career at Remax, which is a wonderful brokerage. Most people don't start at a Remax; they start somewhere else, or a local or smaller brokerage, and then go to a Remax. But I was able to start at a Remax. Again, I was 30 years old, so maybe a little older than the average person, and had a little business acumen behind me. So I enjoyed my 10 years at Remax. Was just great. I have 10 plaques on the wall that said every year I was a Chairman's Club or whatever the highest award is, which I'm very proud of. Worked very hard, sold 30, 40, 50 plus houses every year. And I really, this is 2005. That's when I started in real estate. Spent 10 years there, was very happy, pretty successful. And then I spent 5 years at another national firm called Berkshire Hathaway. and I ran the number one team in the state and number two in the world out of 50,000 agents. We were selling 600 houses a year out of Cleveland, Ohio, which people, probably don't know of, but we had a wonderful team, and I managed over 60 people and loved every bit of it. It was pretty successful. And then I had a, awakening that I said, I'm running this big team. I'm making good money. All these things are wonderful. But I said, where does the retirement aspect come in? The irony is at Remax, it's a publicly traded company, but I didn't get any stock. And Berkshire Hathaway, publicly traded company, but I didn't get any stock, even though I was the number one agent in the state of Ohio and number two in the world. And so I thought, well, this just doesn't work for me. I work for these big publicly traded companies, but I can't access that wealth. But the owners of the franchises, they sure got a lot of stock and could retire, and they're both billionaires, as you know, Dave Lineker and Warren Buffett. And so I said, wait a sec, this doesn't work for the average agent. So I started looking after four and a half years at being at Berkshire, and I said, I got to find something that's going to work for me and others. If I want to bring my team over, or whoever I want to do, how is this going to work, and how can I retire? And I wanted to get off, really, Gary, the transactional treadmill, which a lot of people don't understand they're on, is that you're at these brokerages and you say, well, if I sold 20 this year, how do I sell 40? And that never ends. I mean, I was up to 600 every year for 5 years in a row. And I said, well, what am I going to get 600 to 1,000? I mean, at some point you're just, spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere. So I decided to take my talents, if you will, not to South Beach, but to EXP Realty, where I got to meet you and talking about accountability. Thanks to you, I met my accountability partner, Gina Hansen, at that same pool in Florida, and we started talking, her and I, like-minded. She's from Florida, I'm from Ohio, couldn't be different scenarios. And she said, I'd like to be your accountability partner. I said, absolutely. So talking about that just really brought it all full circle. And that was, 3-4 years ago now. The years go by faster and faster. But now, instead of being on a transactional treadmill where I'm selling 40, 50, or up to 600 houses with my team, now I sell between 10 and 15 houses a year, but I make 3x the amount of money because, as you know, we get paid 3 different ways, which is obviously the sale of our houses, which is linear income. Leverage is we get things if we brought our team over, and then passive income, which is my favorite. You do something once and you get paid for it for a lifetime. So that's really what I'm all about now, is helping people retire in real estate.
Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse, blockchain processing? We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live. Be ready to take notes and ask questions because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to GaryRealEstateWithGaryWilson.com. Click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Yeah. Well, it's such a big thing. I want to go back to mention you mentioned Gina Hansen. We interviewed her on the podcast too. And a lot of people don't know this because I brought her in and she was working for me on my team for a while. It's funny, people on my team, they're surprised when I actually push them out of the nest. Because my team's not designed to be about me. My name's not even on the team. The team doesn't take any credit for any transaction or listing or sale. All the agents get all the credit for all the sales. We give them their own lead generating account on our lead gen system. So all the leads are theirs, and they will help them build their own teams and their own brands. So after about 3 years, I said, Gina, time for you to start flying. But here's the irony of this. She's the one who got me started in this teaching business years ago. She gave me my first opportunity to teach a room full of agents how to work with investors. And, over 1,000 classes later, here I am, and 24,000 students. And now she's building her own team, her own brand. She's a coach, and she was in the top 25% of all CEOs in the country in the brokers that she was in. And people were falling all over themselves to bring her over to work for them. And she left the business for a while. She was like, "Hey, I did what I was supposed to do, went to the top. There's nothing left." And I happened to call her on a day when she was sitting there pondering, "What do I want to do now? I've been off the road, or she's been off the treadmill for several years. I want to do something special." I said, "I think you should coach." Now, check this out, man. She's one of the fewer than 100 success coaches on the planet,
Wow.
and she's with us, man. I'm like, holy cow, you know, just an amazing assortment of people. But now let's just go back to you mentioned retirement, and this was something really near and dear to my heart because I know when I got in the business, Nick, and you and I, I'm sure we're a lot alike. I'm sure you saw the same thing. People in their 70s, 80s, even 90s are like, they're still working. I'm like, man. So my thing was, I want to help them own some real estate. So they got passive income coming in. They got an asset that holds value. They can sell it if they ever want to, or sell it on owner financing and get like an annuity coming in on the monthly payments. But you took the route with the XP, and I'm with the XP now too because I got wise also and realized, hey, I can get another stream of income, and I did. In
Right.
fact, I could live off my revenue share. It's crazy. It only like 3 years, you know. So, in any case, we're a great combination because I lead with real estate, and I want the agents to own it. I want my consumers to own it. I want everybody to share that American dream. And yet, here we can have 3 or 4 other streams of income. So, let's go back to that. Tell me about your experience when you first realized, wow, not only do you not have a retirement plan, but there's like 2 million other people in the United States that also don't have a retirement plan. You know,
Well,
and
100,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, 100%. And I looked at these numbers, and these are staggering. And anyone could Google these numbers just to check the facts, because fact checking is a pretty big deal. But when I looked up, I said, what's the average age of a teacher in the United States? And if you look it up, again, Google it, it's 40. That means half the people are under 40 and half are over. And then I looked up, what's the average age of a lawyer in the United States? And that answer is 50, half are younger. What's the average age of a doctor? 50. And then I Googled, what's the average age of a realtor in the United States? And that number is 60, which to me, all of a sudden, it just like a bulb. I said, what are we? I said, and I looked around our industry and I'm looking at all these people and they are well into their 60s or more. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make sense. We weren't getting a lot of young, hungry individuals. Why? Because you could go be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, spend 20 years at doing something, and then have a retirement plan for the rest of your life. And in real estate, as you know, no brokerage in the world wanted that, because if you retired at a brokerage, you stopped making your broker money. And EXP, we just turned this thing right around and said, well, we're going to give all the ownership, all the power to the agents. And again, when you've been around longer than me. When I left Berkshire to join EXP, we only had 20,000 agents worldwide. And probably people thought I was crazy. Who leaves a brokerage with 50,000 to go to an agent with 20,000? And I said, well, if this model works the way I think it will, and today, 4 years later, I can look back and not that I was right, but the model works so well. As you know, today we have over 90,000 agents worldwide. Every state in the union in about 27 or 28 countries. We keep adding countries every now and then. And again, talk about retirement. No, I own rental properties. I'm a landlord, so I understand residual income. I understand that. I understand how stocks work. I almost was a stockbroker back in my 20s. I thought maybe that was an avenue before getting into construction. And so when I looked at this, how people make money, like I said, there's only 3 ways, linear, leverage, and passive income. And we should all be trying to get to that passive income. Now, as a landlord, the problem with owning real estate is that if every time I buy a house, at least here in Chagrin Falls, nothing's under $500,000. So if I'm going to put 20% down on $500,000, I mean, that's a lot of money to lay out to get $1,000 a month return ROI. And again, that's not a bad thing, because the value of the real estate keeps appreciating every year, and it's gone up 20% the last 2 years, which is unbelievable, especially for Ohio. In Cleveland, Ohio, our real estate's so I don't want to say depressed, but it's around the world, around the country. We don't have the $1 million. This is not Las Vegas. This is not California. It's not New York. Right. My house in New York would be $20 million, and in Ohio, it's $500,000, which I'm proud of. I'm happy. I don't want it to be crazy expensive, because then too many people can't afford it. But we really are very fortunate. There was someone did a Zillow, or not a Zillow, but a Realtor.com did a thing of the most affordable places in the world. and Cleveland, Ohio ranks in the top 5. I think it's number 4 actually, and I think that's great. And to me, that's important. I don't want to be one of those cities that weeds everybody out because prices just went through the roof. I mean, I have a son living in San Francisco right now, and his 1-bedroom apartment costs $1,700 a month. I mean, I have 2 mortgages here that don't cost that. So it's interesting,
and that's cheap. That's cheap for San Francisco.
Well,
and taxes too. In the big cities, people don't realize that if you're in a big city, you have no idea how much you're spending until you go out into the way out in the suburbs and realize how little people spend on things like property taxes. I mean,
sure.
Oh my gosh. So I love the big city, but get me as far away as you can so I can enjoy the country and not go broke at the same time. So back to retirement. So now you've got literally, I'm going to break this down. So you've got rental income coming in.
Yes.
You got commission income coming in, right? That's 2. Right. You've got your revenue share, which is the passive part where the company shares 50% of the profit with us. For just simply saying, hey, you want to see what I'm doing? I'll come on in and I'll show you what I'm doing. You bring people in. And then finally you get stock ownership. And what's cool about it is where you can earmark up to 5% of your commission income, where you actually have to choose. It's either you're in or you're out. If you're in, it's 5% of your commission income, and that purchases EXP stock at a 5% discount. Right. So literally, it's almost like you're getting it at a break even, for nothing. I mean, you're paying for it, but you're getting a discount that's equivalent to what you're paying for. So to me, that's free, and it sits there and accumulates. And so now you got 4 streams of income. So I got to ask you, Nick, and this is I know you're going to know the answer. What's the average number of streams of income that most agents have?
1. Average agent. And again, there's 1.6 million agents just in the U.S., another 3 or 4 million, I think 5 million total on the planet. But every other person, we at EXP know this. We have 4 ways to make money. Everyone else has 1, but there's only 90,000 of us. Again, there's 1.6 million realtors in just the U.S. And so, Gary, that just the opportunity is endless, and that's so important. And when you think about, the more you think about, again, traditional business, you go work, you want a retirement plan, you put things in 401k or whatever it is and all the things, and then you have a chunk of money left over. And let's say it's $1 million. Let's say it's 2 million or 5 million. It takes your whole life to make that money. Or you can do it a non-traditional way. What we do is you and I, well, you stopped selling probably real estate a little while ago, and I'm on the way there too. But what if you stop selling real estate day to day, stay in the business, keep your license active, and bring in $25,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 every month, and that keeps going up because of what you built. What I built 4 years ago when I started. It was me, 1 agent. That was my worldwide organization. Today there's over 36, and they're all very much producing agents, and that equates to $50,000 a year to me in passive residual income. It's $4,500 a month that comes in like clockwork, as you know, and it's mind-boggling that that's out there. And what did I do different? I switched my shingle on my brokerage. Other than that, I'm still buying and selling real estate, representing my clients and doing things like that. And every now and then I'll do a deal with someone and I'll just say, hey, Gary, I really enjoyed doing this deal. You want to grab a cup of coffee? I don't know about you, but I get paid 4 or 5 different ways when you probably got paid once. I'd like to show you the difference. And when I sit down with people, I just had a lunch, which is why we had to move this back. But I had a lunch with the agent, 35 years in the business, 35 years. And I looked at her and she's not 20 anymore. She's probably closer to 60 now. And I said, when can you retire? And she's like, honey, I can't. That's how old she was. She called me honey, which I was very proud of because I'm only 50. But, you think about that. That's really kind of sad because everyone else outside of our brokerage doesn't have that opportunity to retire. And everyone should, Gary. We all know how hard we've worked. Again, I'm 20 years in this industry now. Only 4 years with EXP, but man, it has been life-changing. And I'm so happy I made the plunge. I should have done it earlier. That's for sure.
I know. It's amazing. Everybody I meet that's really understands and embraces the model says the same thing. And I did too. I was here because I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary now on June 1st. But after the first several months, I'm thinking, man, I screwed up. I should have come over in 2017 when they first approached me, but I didn't listen. Right. I wasn't open to listening. And if I had, I would have moved in. I'm telling you, I know people that came over in 2017. I went to the conference in Lauderdale and I saw some pretty big names there. Brent Gove was one of them, and
Yeah.
I know Brent personally.
Yep.
And I met Glenn Sanford personally, and I should have listened, but I didn't because I'm thinking, gee, I'm already making, seven figures a year already, and I've got it easy. I mean, I stay in Ritz Carlton's, eating nice restaurants, and why the heck would I change? But the point is because you could always do better. You can always improve. I don't care how well you're doing. Entrepreneurs, we're not built to sit still and be happy with status quo. Entrepreneurs, when people ask an entrepreneur, what is it that you want? How much do you want? Most entrepreneurs I know are like, you know what? I know I'm supposed to give you a number, $1 million, 10 million, 100, whatever. The reality is I don't put a number on it because if I did, then it limits me. Why would I limit myself? Plus, when I hit that number, what am I going to do? Quit?
Right.
No, I'm going to shoot for the next number. Yeah.
Sure.
So to us, numbers are simply stepping stones. The money is simply a measurement of how well you do. So if you're an entrepreneur, you've got that business gene flowing through your veins. You've got to at least check out the opportunity. Smart people always listen before they say yes or no. You can still say no if you want to. At least it's based on facts and information. The reality is, when you do the math, I mean, I've never met a single person where the math did not work. When you literally look at it and you look at facts, the truth, the truth is easy to tell because the truth is so easy to tell. Yeah, math doesn't lie either. Math it's right. There is no other. There's not a thousand ways to look at this. There's one way to look at it. You and your family probably deserve a whole lot better, right? So why not go get it? Help other people. Do like what Nick and I do, guys. Honestly, I teach. That's what I do. I teach, I train, I coach. I teach, I train, I coach every single day because I love it. I wake up, want to do it. I'm not in production because I don't have to be, right? I'm involved I love the thrill of the hunt. I'm involved with identifying good deals and analyzing good deals. I help my agents do all that stuff because I like it. But that's the extent of it. So back to this, Nick. You got your organization, you're growing your organization. Now, I want to ask you, are they mostly around you in Cleveland or Ohio, or are they around the country? Or tell us about that a little bit.
So it's great. We can, as you know, we can bring people in anywhere in any country, any state we want. 99% of my organization is in Ohio, just because that's certainly where I'm most capable, and I can help agents because I understand the laws and things like that after doing this for 20 years. But it's really ironic. A lot of people I brought in, Gary, have I have 20 years experience. They have 25, 30. Lady I sat down with today has 35 years experience. So a lot of people I bring in sell a lot more than me, and that's important. They are close by. Although I just found out this new thing called LinkedIn. That's a joke. I've been on LinkedIn a long time, but we've been kidding about this. But I was able to do a free post, and I wanted to bring some people in internationally. So I'm talking to a young lady in Germany who's licensed out there. I'm talking to a guy in Dubai and another guy in India. And I just put out a free post looking for, real estate agents around the globe that want to make more money or have a chance to retire. And just a real easy post. It was free to do. I just want to check it out. And I've been communicating with them, having Zoom with them. And people are so open to it. And especially the younger generation. We're a little bit older, you and I, with our gray hairs going on. But the younger generation, they don't understand brick and mortar or traditional business models, and they really are open to this. And it reminds me of one thing. Speaking of brick and mortar, it goes back to this, and we talk about this a lot, Gary. But Blockbuster had an opportunity to buy Netflix. A lot of people don't know that. At the time, Blockbuster was the 800-pound gorilla, making all this money. I think 600 stores or 800 stores, whatever it was, thousands of stores for all I know. And I remember putting the kids in the car when I was a lot younger and saying, "Hey, kids, let's go in the car. Let's go get 2 or 3 movies for the weekend." Remember those days? Wasn't so long ago. And this little company called Netflix said, "Hey, what if people didn't want to go in their car and didn't want to do anything? What if they could just rent the movies from their TV?" And this is before streaming. A lot of things were going on. And people laugh and say, "Of course, Nick, Netflix, it's easy." Yeah, but did you buy Netflix when it went public? Because if you did, you'd be pretty wealthy. And that just reminds me, the Blockbuster, the Netflix. I remember 12 years ago, a small company called Facebook, which is now, of course, the ticker symbol's Meta, META. And, I bought Facebook at the IPO. By the way, the IPO of Facebook was $32.50 a share. That was astronomical for a company that didn't produce anything, didn't make, by the way, lost money every year over year. And for a non-pharmaceutical company or Shell or Chevron or BP, Facebook for $32 a share was, but I remember I called my stockbroker and I said, I want you to buy shares. And today I look back, that stock is close to $500 and it hasn't split yet, but I think it will. And they're paying dividends. So I just look back at, you don't know what you don't know, but sometimes you see something, you see a trend. And with you, when we were kidding about that, not knowing, someone approached me about this opportunity years ago. I didn't join years ago because I didn't understand it, but I did buy the stock. And my wife always laughs. She goes, why don't you buy 10,000 shares? By the way, the shares were less than $3 a share. And I bought a couple thousand. As you know, our stock price went up to 160 or if you look at it, 80, because we had a 2-for-1 stock split. Yeah. But man, what if I would have bought 10,000 shares under $3? I'd be richer today. That's for sure. But, money is great. As you know, Gary, money is a great thing. It won't buy you happiness. But being wealthy is better than being poor. I've been both, and I choose wealth if I can. But now helping others build up wealth is just a wonderful thing. And being able to retire in an industry where no one else retires, it's giving back. And that's what's important to me now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I know we probably tuned up some clock time here, but I knew this was going to happen when I got you on because plus we know each other, so it makes it easier. For everybody listening, if you're interested and you want to talk to Nick, how can people get a hold of your website, email, anything you want to share in public? Because we'll put it in the show notes too,
Sure. Probably the easiest way is just a cell phone. Just send me a text. Obviously, I'm on Facebook, but I have more than 5,000 friends. Or LinkedIn, it's just Nick DeVito on Facebook and LinkedIn. But again, my cell number, it's pretty much out there for the world. It's 216-401-9954. And again, just send me a text. Tell me who you are. If I can help in any way, and I don't care what brokerage you're with or whatever, I'm an open book. If I can help in my 20 years experience of doing this, of getting out of the rat race, I'd like to help people. And if you want to talk about switching brokerage or something, I'm fine with that too. But if you just want advice, just real estate advice or being a landlord, how many houses should I buy? How many properties? How many doors? Now we talk about that, Airbnbs, things like that. I'd like to help anybody. That's my giving back, if you will.
Yeah, not to mention, when you had your production team, 600 plus houses a year in Cleveland, guys, yes. that is an amazing feat, right? Number 1 in the state and number 2 in the world, and you get to talk to this guy. He just gave you a cell phone number. Oh my gosh, for free, and his podcast is free, phone calls free. You got nothing to lose, my gosh. I mean, give Nick a call, man. So, hey Nick, I really appreciate you being here, man. This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait to see every Monday we get to see each other, which is cool, and we get the events we go to. But God bless you for doing this, man. God bless you, all the listeners, for listening. Please leave a review. All right, the podcast works based on your reviews. That's just how it works. We don't get paid for this. We do it as a community service, but it's fun to do. We have fun doing it. We love to serve you, give you lots of content. So your reviews are just your way of saying thank you. We certainly appreciate it. So God bless you, Nick. God bless listener. We'll see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.